Hey guys, Britt here. Welcome to End Times Bible Prophecy. Make sure to hit the subscribe, like, and share buttons. Today we're going to talk about a number of stories that I believe would have been inconceivable for previous generations. If we presented these stories to previous generations, they would think, that is not real. And so we're going to go over some of these, and just as a disclaimer, as a warning, these are stories about evil going on in the world today. I wouldn't necessarily want my children reading these stories, hearing about these stories. So if you have children with you, you might want to wait until sometime later to watch this by yourself. I'm not going to reveal anything sordid or any terrible things, but it's just stuff that I wouldn't want my kids exposed to. I'm going to put links to all of the articles because I'm just going to touch on some of these subjects. I'm not going to read them in their entirety, but I'll put links down in the description so that you can explore them later. But I want to start off with this verse right here, and I want you to be thinking about this as we're going through these articles, all of which are from the past, 10 days to 2 weeks. This is from Isaiah chapter 5, verses 20 through 21. It says, "What sorrow for those who say that evil is good and good is evil, that dark is light and light is dark, that bitter is sweet and sweet is bitter. What sorrow for those who are wise in their own eyes and think themselves so clever." And I think that's fitting for all of these articles, and particularly this first one we're going to look at. This is from the San Francisco Gate. It says, "After School Satan Club causes a stir at California elementary school." A new after-school club at Golden Hills Elementary School in Kern County called the After School Satan Club is drawing community outrage. That's largely the point. For years, the Satanic Temple, a group the Washington Post described as a non-theistic religious organization advocating for secularism and scientific rationalism, has been launching these clubs in public schools where evangelical Christian groups, namely the Good News Club, have their own meetings. In 2001, the United States Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Good News Club when a New York school district sought to prevent the group from holding meetings on school grounds after school hours. The Supreme Court ruled that the district could not discriminate against groups based on their viewpoints, and because comparable secular groups were allowed to operate, the Good News Club must also be accommodated. The ruling not only opened the door for religious groups meeting in public schools, but also for the proliferation of after-school Satan clubs as intended counterweights. The clubs created controversy in Illinois and Ohio earlier this year. The initial reaction is definitely that of shock and disgust. Lauren May, a mother and volunteer with the After School Satan Club, told the newspaper in an email, "There is also a lot of confusion between the Satanic Temple and the Church of Satan, which are two different things. They definitely do seem to think that we are devil worshippers, which we are not. We don't believe in a supernatural Satan." Now hold on to that thought as we continue to read through this. It says, "The Satanic Temple does not advocate for religion in schools," the group states on its website. "However, once religion invades schools," notice their viewpoint of, the Good News Club is invading. That's the mindset here. And it goes on, it says, "As the Good News Clubs have, the Satanic Temple will fight to ensure that plurality and true religious liberty are expected." And I find this, they're talking about true religious liberty, but then they say we aren't devil worshippers, we don't believe in a supernatural Satan, but they don't advocate for religion in schools, but they want true religious liberty by being able to have their after-school Satan club. It doesn't make any sense, other than it's satanic. It says, the group says that in club meetings it is not interested in converting children to Satanism, and that sessions will focus on free inquiry and rationalism, the scientific basis for which we know what we know about the world around us. then why not call it the After School Free Inquiry and Rationalism Club instead of the After School Satan Club? I think we all know the answer. Goes on, it says, May said that some people changed their minds after learning the group is not actually encouraging children to worship Satan. Some have reacted very positively, she wrote. Others refuse to accept that what we stand for is genuine. It's typically still being seen through the lens of someone that believes Satan is a real being, and we believe differently. Again, this is why others are refusing to accept that what she stands for is genuine, because she's straddling the fence here, saying we don't believe in religion, we don't believe Satan is a real being, we advocate for free inquiry and rationalism, but we're going to call this club the After School Satan Club, a being we don't believe in, and we're going to say that we don't want religion in schools, but we're saying that this is our religious freedom and right to do this. But we don't actually believe in the religion that's purportedly behind it. And if you watch the video that accompanies this, and again, I'll put the link down in the description, there's a local news report about this. They passed out stickers to all the kids in the school that had this image of Satan in the middle, promoting the After School Satan Club. As you watch this video, you'll see all of these satanic symbols accompany this. Yet it's about free inquiry and rationalism, right? Because who could be against that? Why not just call it the Free Inquiry Club? If you don't believe in Satan, if you're not promoting Satanism, just call it that. But they have to do that. And I think as we read down, we learn, and it could be different. I don't know what's in the hearts of all of these people. I think some of these people are worshiping Satan. Others don't believe he's real, but they're trying to antagonize Christians. That's what this is about. It's about putting a stick in the eye, trying to poke people and get people all up in arms. It's about getting attention. But you read through, and it says, when asked how she might respond to Christians who'd find the After School Satan Club gratuitously antagonistic, May wrote, I want them to defend their questioning as to why they think certain sects of Americans don't get to enjoy the same religious freedoms as their peers, and challenge the Good News Club. Well, I will take you up on that, because here you're saying that you want to enjoy the same religious freedoms, but you're saying that it's not a religion. You're not promoting a religion. You don't believe in supernatural beings. You don't believe that religion should be able to operate in the schools. And this is after hours, by the way, that they're talking about for the Good News Club being used. But then during school hours, they're passing out these flyers promoting After School Satan Club with images of Satan on it. And so I want to know how she can say that it's a free inquiry club when she's naming it the After School Satan Club. And she can say that she wants religious freedom, and that's the justification for the After School Satan Club, but it's not religious in nature. Explain that. And all that said, I believe in freedom and everybody should be able to gather. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be able to gather and do this, but what I'm saying is don't gather and have an After School Satan Club and then be offended when I say that it's evil. Just because you're holding the gathering doesn't mean that I have to celebrate it and not call it evil, because that's what it is. It says After School Satan Club is an opportunity for children to participate in an intellectually stimulating program that fosters inquisitive thinking. Again, why not call it the Inquisitive Thinking Club if that's really what's going on? And I'm excited to send my children, she wrote. I refuse to send them to the Good News Club, because, that's invading the schools. Who teaches children to proselytize to their peers by threatening them with eternal damnation, none of which the After School Satan Club does. Aren't they so wonderful, that After School Satan Club? Now, I would say, I don't know what's going on in the Good News Club at the school. Even if they're threatening people with eternal damnation, and again, you have to choose to go to this club, right? So it's not being taught in the school classroom. But what's worse, a threat of eternal damnation, or putting your child on the road to eternal damnation, which is what you're doing when you're promoting an after-school Satan club with satanic symbols and pictures of Satan and then claiming that you don't really believe in him. Guys, these people are trying to straddle the fence and promote one view, and then when they get pushback on it, they go, oh, that's not our view at all. Here's what Jesus says. It's from Matthew 12, verse 30. Jesus said, anyone who isn't with me opposes me, and anyone who isn't working with me is actually working against me. So she can claim that she's for free inquiry and rational thinking, all of these things. Again, why not call it the after-school free inquiry club? The reason is because they are actively working against Jesus. That's what it's all about. So why not just say that? Why not come out in the open and say that? They don't want to do that. On to the next terrible story. This one's from thedailymail.com. It says, it's heresy. Worshippers left in tears as Cambridge dean claims Jesus may have been transgender. It says church worshippers cried heresy at the dean of Trinity College as they left a sermon claiming Jesus may have been transgender in tears. But the view of a transgender Jesus is, quote, legitimate, according to Dr. Michael Banner, the dean who stepped in to defend the claim made at a sermon last Sunday that Christ had a trans body. And again, I'm going to leave the link to the story. I don't want to read all of it. I find it terrible that people are pushing this view that it's blasphemy. It's just, it's terrible. So I'm not going to justify it by reading this whole story, but I'll put the link if you want to go explore the rest of this. But these are ideas that are being pushed out. And anybody that says, this is terrible, this is bad, this is evil, they're the ones that are called evil because we must all, be tolerant and every view is right. All of these terrible, illogical ideas that go out. Again, this is evil, but we see more and more of this in society. This next article is from Michael Snyder on his site, The Most Important News. It says, at this point, they aren't even trying to hide who they really serve, which the after-school Satan Club was trying to do. They're trying to act like they didn't serve Satan. So he says, for decades, it's been an open secret that many among the elite are deeply attracted to practices that are unspeakably evil. But for most of that time, those who were engaged in such practices tried very hard to hide their involvement. Unfortunately, societal attitudes have changed very rapidly in recent years, and that means that many among the elite no longer feel it is necessary to hide who they really serve. Some of the things I'm going to share with you in this article are very disturbing, but it's imperative for all of us to fully understand what we are now facing. And again, I would agree with him here. That's why I'm sharing these things. Not because I want to give them airtime or shock people or anything like that, but we need to understand the enemy, the adversary that we face in the world today, and the world since Adam and Eve times, frankly. But it's real. They're not hiding it anymore, is what he's saying, and we need to recognize that. And he starts off talking about Disney, and they recently released this show, The Santa Clauses, which is a continuation of the Tim Allen Santa Claus movie franchise from the 1990s. And they have a scene where children hold up signs that actually spell out the words, "We love you, Satan." And I don't know if this is copyright, so I'm just going to push it to the end here. And you can see, "We love you, Satan." And of course, Disney's explanation of this is, oh, it's a joke. The end's in the wrong place. They're supposed to say, "We love you, Santa." But again, we know Disney has been putting these messages in their productions for years now, it's the proverbial camel's nose under the tent. We'll put this in there, we'll see what sort of pushback we get, and then we'll go a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. And it goes on, it talks more about Disney, but then he gets to Balenciaga, this fashion house, and I'm sure many of you've seen this one as well. He says, Balenciaga is making headlines all over the globe because of an advertising campaign they released that features little girls holding teddy bears that are dressed in bondage gear. Days before Thanksgiving, the fashion house, Balenciaga, triggered outrage with its 2022 holiday advertising campaign, which toyed with one of the most depraved evils known to man, the sexual exploitation of children. Photos showcased little girls posing with handbags shaped like teddy bears, but the bears wore bondage gear. In some pictures, the child models are standing on beds. In another, a sleepy-looking girl lies on a couch near wine glasses. In yet another, a boy stands in a room strewn with toys and pictures, including bondage bears and a childlike drawing of the devil. This is evil, guys. It's absolutely evil. And here he says the photo of the boy was particularly alarming because it featured a roll of yellow tape on which the name of the company was spelled as Balenciaga. So there we see it, B-A-A-L, which you may have heard from the Bible. It says, why in the world would Balenciaga want to associate themselves with the Middle Eastern deity known as Baal? And because it's evil, as we just said. Balenciaga is one of the hottest brands in the entire world. It's extremely popular with top celebrities such as Kim Kardashian, and it brings in billions of dollars in revenue. Following the initial uproar, social media users began finding even more extremely alarming material in other Balenciaga ad campaigns. A photo from their new Spring-Summer 2023 campaign shows a handbag on top of a pile of scattered documents. For no apparent reason, one of the pages is from a Supreme Court decision on child pornography laws. There's another photo of a model lounging in an office chair, and in the background is a book by a disgustingly creepy artist named Michael Boremans. His art depicts young kids handling bloody body parts, cannibalism, and adults and children dressed in full-length black hoods. Why does such material keep popping up over and over again? Because it is evil, and because the devil, Satan, is real, unlike what the woman in our first article seemed to think. Satan is real, demons are real, evil is real, and we are fighting against unseen spirits and principalities from the spirit world. That's what's going on. This gets worse. Go on, read this article from Zero Hedge. It says, Canadian fashion firm releases ad celebrating, quote, beauty of assisted suicide. The prominent Canadian fashion and home decor retailer Simons is coming under fire for glorifying suicide as a marketing ploy. The company recently produced and released a 3-minute film which celebrates the planned assisted suicide of Jennifer Hatch. More recently, after the project was completed, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation confirmed that the 37-year-old died on October 23rd and chose medical assistance in dying after dealing with complications and chronic pain associated with her diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a group of inherited disorders that affect the connective tissue supporting many body parts. And if you go on, I'll put a link to this article in the description. You can go and watch this full 3-minute ad that they put together, this film they call it. And you're going to see a lot of cult-like rituals and evil symbols throughout this entire film where they're glorifying this woman throwing her life away. And it's terrible because you watch all of the people that had to go into the making of this film, because there are dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people in this film, all celebrating her impending death. And I think, did any of these people try to reach out to her and convince her that there's a better way? You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't throw away this gift that God has given you. You shouldn't play God. Is there a way we can work through this? But no, instead, they all celebrated and went along with this woman throwing her life away, which happened not long after the filming of this. And the CEO The company says, we really felt, after everything we've been through in the last 2 years and everyone's been through, maybe it would resonate more to do a project that's less commercially oriented and more focused on inspiration and values that we hold dear. I don't know how anyone could watch this film and be inspired and think, wow, this portrays the values we hold dear. It's really sad. It's to me, it's a celebration of this woman's impending death, and it's a celebration by Satan, who is the great destroyer. He's a destroyer, and I look at this video and I just see people demons surrounding this woman, ready to destroy her in some sort of sacrificial ritual. That's what I see. I don't see values that I hold dear, and I don't see anything inspiring there. So again, the link's down in the description. You can go watch it for yourself. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. But guys, it gets worse, because we go on to this next one. This is from the Washington Post. It says, Downstate is a play about pedophiles. It's also brilliant. This is a review in their theater and dance section. Bruce Norris's off-Broadway work is tough stuff, questioning how society treats those convicted of heinous acts. And the story is about these convicted pedophiles who have been released from prison. They're living in a halfway house, and it tells us how terrible it is that the world treats them the way that they're treated. And it even has one of the victims of these pedophiles come out and be portrayed as the bad guy. It's showing good is evil and evil is good. He says, take a deep breath. Now let's put our name to this. This is from Peter Marks. This is what Peter Marks thinks. It says, take a deep breath and try to ruminate calmly on the position playwright Bruce Norris takes in his scintillating new play, Downstate, that the punishments inflicted on some pedophiles are so harsh and unrelenting as to be inhumane. Are you still reading? Why? Are you trying to get shock value with your article? Yes, that's what he's trying to do, but he's also trying to normalize pedophilia. That's what this is all about. That's what all of this is about. It says it's almost impossible to broad brush the perspective at the heart of this impeccably acted drama without sounding as if one is advocating some extraordinary level of consideration for individuals who have committed unspeakable crimes. I would say, what's this guy's name again? Peter Marks? Yep, Peter Marks. No, Peter Marks, it's not almost impossible. It is impossible to give this review that you're giving and not show that you are advocating for pedophilia. And yet Norris proposes a variation on this proposition at Off-Broadway's Playwrights Horizons. He's questioning what degree of compassion should society fairly hold out to those who have served their time for sexual abuse, assault, or rape. Downstate is directed with exceptional astuteness by Pam McKinnon. Again, we've talked about these articles in the paper and the propaganda that they put out and how they like to use these well-placed adjectives because they're trying to evoke an emotional response and they're trying to manipulate your brain. So the point of this piece ultimately is to normalize pedophilia. That's what they're going for. It says, directed with exceptional astuteness by Pam McKinnon, seizes on our reflexive response. So there's no intellectual response. It's all reflexive to these crimes and shifts our emotional focus to the perpetrators. Living together in a group home in downstate Illinois, their movements monitored electronically and their windows broken by irate vandals. 4 men of diverse age and backgrounds eke out marginal existences in menial jobs and managed routines. The house is like an island whose shores are washed with waves of contempt. Any protest or request is treated by their harried caseworker Ivy, played with brittle cynicism by Susanna Guzman, as that of a passenger in steerage daring to ask for a clean blanket. Guys, this is absolutely evil. This is the embodiment of evil. This is the epitome of what we talked about in this verse from Isaiah 5 that we looked at early on, of woe to those who call good evil and evil good. This is it right here. They want to normalize pedophilia. They want you to have compassion on pedophiles and have disregard for their victims. That's how you read this. And again, the link's in the bottom. Tell me what you think. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think so. I absolutely don't think so. Guys, this is a sign that Jesus is coming back. Plain and simple. Let's go to Matthew 24, verse 12. This is in Jesus speaking to his disciples. They ask, what are the signs of your return and you're coming back to establish your kingdom? So this is the glorious appearing of Jesus Christ, the end of the tribulation. Jesus is coming back to earth to establish his kingdom. And he says, sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. Based on the articles we just read, I don't know how we can't say that that doesn't describe the world we're living in right now. And we had this from 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 5. Paul says, you should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times, for people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred, which is what we've seen in these articles. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. And I encourage you to go back and watch that video glorifying the impending suicide of this woman, and tell me that you don't see all these religious themes throughout it. They're trying to act religious, but they want to reject the power that could make them godly. Guys, I don't know when Jesus is coming, but I can't imagine that he isn't going to send the judgment of the tribulation on this generation for the things that we've just seen. At what point, how does it get worse than this? Normalizing pedophilia, glorifying death and destruction, violence against children, blasphemy against all that's holy, worship of Satan. How does it get worse? I mean, very well may, and absolutely, the Bible tells us that it's going to, because it says when the restrainer is taken away, well, it's going to get worse and evil will run rampant, so it will get worse. But again, how can the things we just read not be judged by God? I don't see it. Guys, again, these articles, I know that these tend to bring people down. You may read this and think, this is terrible, this is evil, this is despicable, detestable, this is the world we live in, and that is correct. However, I want to leave you with hope, because guys, we don't put our hope in politicians to fix these things. We don't put our hope in the world to rise up and challenge all of these behaviors. We don't put our hope in ourselves to go out and transform the world into a better place. We put our hope in Jesus Christ to put an end to all of this, and we know that he will. He's coming back, and he is going to rule over this earth from his throne, and all of this will go away. So we should put on our blinders. Yes, we need to pay attention to these things to know what evil we're facing, what we're up against, but we need to be focused, eyes on Jesus, and preaching the good news to as many people as we can. And that includes Many of the people in these stories, they need to hear the good news that while we were still sinners, Jesus willingly went to the cross, died, shed his blood, so that we would have forgiveness of our sins and eternal life. And guys, he's coming back again. So that is our hope. That is our focus. So don't let all of this bring you down, because Jesus is going to put an end to all of this evil, all of this depravity when he comes back, and he's coming back, guys. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, I'll put links in the description to all of these stories. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. Make sure to like and share this. Until tomorrow, I'll see you then. Bye. If you want to learn more about the end times and Bible prophecy, make sure to sign up for my free monthly newsletter and get your copy of my free ebook, 7 Signs of the End Times. Just follow the link in the description to get your free book. Also, make sure to check out all of my books. Just look up Britt on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple iBooks, Google Books, Kobo, or anywhere books are sold. Thanks for watching today, and until next time, keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith.